everybody, John Osborne here, also known as Trader John O. You can follow me on StockTwits and Twitter. Let's look at the Forex educational outlet. Today is April 5th, 2017. We'll start with the loonie yen. You can see we're coming back down to test this support, this previous pivot of 82.010. You can see it here on the daily, 82.226 that we've already broken through, and now we're trying to move back down through that again. So we're looking pretty neutral to bearish on the 240 and the daily, but we're looking quite bearish on the weekly. So let's see if we can make a move down through there if we can get below that 82.010. In the euro yen, we've been moving up along this weekly trend line here, and we're getting close to touching it here. It's about 117.015 on the weekly. You can see we're about to penetrate this line on the 240 and also on the daily. So let's see if we can break down through this previous pivot here of 117.427, and that should give us some nice enough move through the weekly trend line to give us some confidence that we can go lower. In the euro US dollar, we've been dropping down and putting a little bit of a support here at about 1.06349, and you can see if we can break through that, we also have this trend line support at about 1.05852, and this is all as we're moving lower inside of this weekly pennant. We broke out of it last week and turned right around and came back down to the bottom of the pennant. So it's possible that we'll just bounce around in here for a little bit more, or we might break through this support, and that's kind of what we want to watch for. So if we can see a break through this trend line here and through this support trend line on the weekly, we might see a nice drop. So let's keep an eye on that one. Right now we're looking a little bit bullish still on the weekly, and the 240 is looking bullish, but the daily is starting to look a little bit bearish. Okay, and we have penetrated the monthly trend line as well. So let's watch for that potential drop. And in the pound Swissy, you can see how we had this micro or mini trend line coming down here in an uptrend, and we went back up and retested it and pushed through pretty hard, and now we're taking a little breather before we could potentially go higher. And if we go higher, watch for the first resistance here of 1.25863, and keep in mind we are right at the top of this pennant that's on the weekly, and if we can break above that, especially if we can break above the previous swing high of 1.23422, then we'll have an opportunity to go higher. So we can see we're in a pennant on several of the charts here, and we want to see that movement higher. And finally, in the pound dollar, it looks like we might have a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern forming here. Now we haven't completed the right shoulder yet, but if we do see this pattern here, we might be able to see a drop down through the neckline. Now the neckline's a little bit slanted here, but the lower part of it is about 1.24022. It's a little sloppy, but let's see also if we can take advantage of this micro trend line that we see across the top here. It's better to see that on the daily. If we can break above that, then instead of forming this head and shoulders, we might just head further higher. So it's a little bit questionable. It's not surprising we're seeing this kind of activity, because once again we're inside of a pennant, so we could move in either direction. Okay, so but just make sure that when we have a breakout, it looks confident, and we'll see what happens. And that'll do it for today, and we'll catch you next time. Remember, non-farm payroll on Friday, so watch out for a little bit of doldrum activity between now and then. Okay, have a good one.